Hi everyone, welcome to the final video of Japanese. Now that we've covered the rules of Japanese from vowels to consonants, we can go back to our 10 sample words and see how these rules play into action. So first of all, I'm just going to write all the words out here again, and then we'll go through them one by one, letter by letter, to see which Japanese rules they use. So first of all, just write the words down. The first word was teriyaki. Teriyaki, Teriyaki, teriyaki. Remember I said it was a meat or fish dish, teriyaki. Word number 2 was geisha. Remember a girl for entertainment, geisha, Geisha. Word number 3 was yosenabe, Yosenabe. It was a kind of soup. Word number 4, again a food item, we had gyokuro, which is a type of tea, Gyokuro. Word number 4 was pronounced two different ways. The first one was heian and heian, and it's basically the study of Japanese from the late 8th century to the late 12th century, so that's heian. Alright, word number 6, we have kagura. Kagura, Kagura. It's a kind of dance. Remember we said a lot of Japanese words have to do with entertainment, such as dance and drama and music, so this is one of those words. Word number 7 is haori. Haori, Haori. It's a kind of garment. Word number 8 was shubunkin or shubunkin, and basically remember it was a goldfish, so we have shubunkin. Again, two pronunciations on this one, shubunkin and shubunkin. Okay, Shubunkin. Word number 9 was romaji, which is basically Japanese in Roman characters. Romaji, Romaji. That's usually capitalized. And word number 10 is arushie, Urushiye. Arushi. This is a Y. Arushie. This is a color print. So again, kind of going back to I guess that entertainment form with arts and arts and drama. So that there's that word. Okay, so these are our 6 words, and we're gonna go through them now, see which rules we can apply. So let's switch colors real fast. All right. First word, teriyaki. Let's go through it letter by letter. First of all, remember what we said, that most of the consonants in Japanese are the same as English. So of course we have our T here, just to represent the T sound. Remember, is going to be spelled with an E almost all the time. Teriyaki. Okay? R is normal. Remember, the long E sound, which is pronounced E, is mostly always going to be with an I. And here it is, here and also here. Teriyaki. Okay? Y is normal. Remember, the ah sound, the A with the 2 dots, is going to be spelled with an A almost all the time. So we have that here. And remember, Japanese does not use the letter C. It uses K. Remember, there's only 2 words that use 2 Ks, which are haku and shiken. But the rest of them use a single K, and that's in this word. Okay, so that's teriyaki. Alright, next word, geisha. Geisha. Remember, we said that if you hear the G sound in Japanese, you're always going to spell it with a G. Okay, no worries about that one. Also, if you hear the J sound, you're always going to spell it with a J. So just to keep that straight, we have our G. Our long A sound. Remember, in Japanese, it can be spelled, a couple of ways. EI is mostly the way to go if it's in the middle. That's the first rule we saw. So we have our EI for that A sound right there. Okay, usually if it ends in the A sound, if a word ends in the A sound, it's going to be spelled with just an E. But if it's in the middle of the word with the A sound, it's going to be an EI. Okay, now the sh sound is very simple, SH together, just like English. And remember, the schwa at the end is almost always going to be A. If it's at the end of the word, for sure. It's not only Japanese, a lot of Asian languages have that schwa as an A. So we see that in geisha. Okay, yosenabe. This is one of those words that I like to break up. Remember I said in the first video that Japanese is very, I think, symmetric, kind of like compound words, just like German and English, where you can break words up in 2 parts. So we can break this up like this. we have two parts, yosei and nabe, and each one of these follows the rules. We have our Y, which is normal. Remember, whenever we have the long O sound, O, it's always going to be spelled with an O. Okay, we're always going to use S, remember, for the sa sound. No using the letter C at all. It could be a double S, but, that's out of the question for Japanese. I did say you could occasionally have a TS, but that's going to be cleared up if you ask for the alternate pronunciation. And in this word, it's only pronounced yoseinabe, so you're just going to use an S. That's pretty clear. Now here's what I think is interesting. In the last word, I just said if you have the A sound at the end of a word, you're going to spell it with an E, not an EI. Here though, if you look at it, this A sound is in the middle of the word, but we're going to treat it like it's at the end of the word because it's the end of the first part, if that makes sense. We're going to treat this as if it's two words, yosei and nabe, and for that reason we're going to use just an E because we think the E is at the end of the word, or the end of that first part. We're not going to use EI, just because this is broken up into two parts. And that only works with words that can be broken up. Like with geisha, we're not going to break it up. Okay, teriyaki can be broken up into teri and yaki. So again, that's why we're using E. N is normal, our A again for the ah sound, B is normal, and like I said, if it's at the end of the word, the A sound is going to be spelled with just an E. So that's yoseinabe. Okay, gyakuro. Okay, this is a great example of when we use G. Again, we use it all the time when we hear the G sound, regardless of if there's a Y after. If this was an English word, we might pronounce it gyakuro because we have that GY, but because it's Japanese, stick with that G for the hard G sound. Y and the O together make the ya sound. Remember I said for the ah sound, A is the most common, as we see here in yoseinabe, teriyaki, but remember, sometimes it can be O as the word, honcho. So this is one of those examples where O is used. Okay? K, remember we don't use our C. The U sound is always going to be spelled with a U, always. R is normal, and we end in a long O sound, so that's going to end with the letter O. Gyakuro. Okay, perfect. Next word is heian. We have our H normally, and this word is sort of the ones where there's a vowel cluster, but if you just break it up into pieces, it all works. It's heian. Remember the hey, we're going to have an E here. Basically we said that EI makes the A sound, and the next part of the word is E, heian. Well, the I is sort of already taken care of. Also, the alternate pronunciation of this word is heian, so you know that this is two distinct parts. This is the A, and this is the ah part of it. So heian, or heian. So A for the ah sound, and again, we're going to end with an N. Remember, all these words are going to end with a vowel or the letter N. So far, we have vowel, 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 N, and we can see here vowel, vowel, N, vowel, vowel. So all these words end in vowels or the letter N. Okay, word number 6, kagura. We're going to use K, not a C. We always use K. Again, A for the ah sound. Our G all the time whenever you hear G. The sound, always going to be U. R is normal, and our schwa at the end is always going to be an A. This is a perfect word, perfect Japanese word, kagura. All the rules are in action there. Okay, word number 7, haori. This is the same idea here. Our H is normal. Whenever you hear the ow sound, it's always going to be an A-O combination. This sound doesn't appear too often in Japanese, so it's not that big of a deal, but if you ever hear ow in Japanese, it's going to be A-O. It's sort of like a combination of ah and O, so ow, so always A-O. And then R is normal, and we end in that E sound. Remember if I said we end in a long E sound, it's usually going to be an I. Occasionally it might be an E, like the word kamikaze, but this is one of the words that falls in the majority, so it's going to end in an I. Haori. Okay, shubunkin. We can break this one up into parts. Let's just start with the sh part. Of course, we're going to use SH. That's the normal English blend. The U sound, the U with two dots, always going to be U. B is normal. Here, this word can be pronounced two ways. Remember, shubunkin and shubunkin. So we've basically got the schwa here. Remember, the schwa is mostly going to be an A, but remember I said sometimes it can be an E or a U, and this is one of the cases where it's a U. If you ask for that alternate pronunciation, you will hear the pronunciations shubonkin, and that will give away that it's a U for sure, and it can't be anything else, like an A or an E. So that's definitely U. Our N is normal, K for the K sound, I for the I sound, always. That's 100% rule, it works all the time. And we're going to end with our letter N, shubonkin, or shubinkin. Okay, word number 9 is romaji. This is one of those words where you can actually see the definition in the word. Remember, it's Japanese and Roman characters, and that explains the Roma part. And that's kind of why it's capitalized, because the word Roman. But everything else fits too. The R is normal, our O for the long O sound, M is normal, and we have our A for that schwa, Roma. And then we have the G part. Remember, whenever you hear the J sound in English or in Japanese, sorry, it's always going to be a J. Okay. In English, you could have spelled this Romagi, and that still would have been pronounced Roma-G in English. But in Japanese, if this was with a G, it would be pronounced Roma-Gi. So make sure whenever you hear the J sound, it's going to be spelled with a J. Okay, all the time. So that's what we have here, and we end with our I for the E sound, which is very common. Okay, almost done here. The last word is arushie. Okay, let's start it. Basically, we start with a schwa, ruchie, but this one's going to be a U. You might be thinking why it's not an A or an E, and this is one of those words where I think you have to know the word. So just make sure you know it starts with a U. Okay, or ruchie. Our R is normal. Our U is always going to be a U, no doubt about that. We've seen this SH a lot in action already in geisha and shubunkin, so we're going to use that SH combination. Our E, our long E sound, is spelled with an I most of the time. If it's in the middle of the word, almost all the time it's going to be with an I. So we have our I there, ya, so Y is normal, and then we end in the long A sound. Remember I said if that happens at the end of the word, it's just going to be spelled with an E, not an EI. Just like the word yosenabe. If you hear the A at the end of the word, it's spelled with an E. So that's arushie, and this covers our 10 words of Japanese. Hopefully you can see how simple the Japanese rules are. Once you practice Japanese words, they'll be really, really easy to spell. They're very, very consistent, and that's what's great about Japanese. See you in the next video. Thank you.